Welcome to Fragmental.
An amusing take on random topics. Well, we are back.
Welcome back, Dave.
Welcome back, Mike. It's been, I don't know when their last fucking episode was, but it's been a while.
It's been a month.
Yeah, it's been a month.
Maybe 5 weeks.
You've been busy. I've been just fucking hanging out.
You're busier than... You always say that like, I've just been fucking jerking off. No, dude, you do stuff.
I do.
But yeah, it's been busy, but wrapping up summer, dropped my daughter off at college.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was emotional for everyone but me. But no, I mean,
It did take you 3 or 4 days to sober up after that. I know. I did remember that.
Hey, it's a big moment in life. It's a big moment for her. I remember we both went to college.
Yep.
You remember that moment. So obviously we're proud of her and all that good stuff. But at the same time, it's one less kid.
Yep.
And dinner's just got a little cheaper. Yeah, we got a little more free time. Not much. We still have a shitload of kids.
Yeah, you got 3, right? You got the 3.
Yeah, we still got 3 in the house. Yeah.
They're close. They're close in age, though, right?
They're all from 5 to 9.
Oh, okay. So, but that's right. I guess you got let's just condense all this shit instead of the one-off.
Well, right. The first time we were so young, it was like, let's slow down, and then it was like, hey, let's fuck like rabbits. Remember?
Remember that big break we took? Well, that's over.
So, I mean, that was more. I think I'm pretty sure my wife planned that out. I'm just like, look, if you're offering, I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, if you're gonna fuck anybody, I would just appreciate it was me.
Well, that's what I say now because I still haven't had my vasectomy.
Oh,
so that was the joke. Was I'd rather be me than the mailman.
Right, that's true.
So, I mean, do I want more kids? No. I mean, I'm getting to the age where it's like, you know what, my son's gonna leave when I'm 50. I'm like, that still gives me a full decade before like I'm debilitating, right?
Yeah, probably more. I mean, you're in pretty good shape, so relative.
Round, you prick. But I work out. I mean,
yeah, that's what I meant. That's where I was going with that, Mike. Before you cut me off.
I know.
No. Anyway, so kids off to college, kids are starting school. Weather's getting a little cooler out. I know I got to fucking get on my yard because it died over the fucking summer.
Summer's wrapping up.
Summer's wrapping up. Before, college football starting. That started last weekend?
Yeah.
NFL started last night.
Yeah, this is a good time of year.
Yeah, it's a good because it's like the weather's decent. You know, you can wear like shorts if it's warm enough out, but then you can put like the sweater on, or you can put, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can, but you're not. It's not fucking 40 below. And
so I like that. Like I enjoy where
fall.
It's like 70s or 60s. I love 60s. But where it's like during the day it's warm enough to still be in a t-shirt and shorts, but at night you throw that jacket on or long sleeve shirt, and I love that.
Yeah. So we are, getting into fall. We just been talking about college sports and NFL. So obviously there's been anybody online or even remotely close to ESPN has saw all this fantasy football.
At this point, if you're alive, you've heard of some kind of fantasy thing, right?
Yeah. So you and I we're in a league.
Yeah.
So you're in how many? 2?
I'm actually in 3 this year, which is probably the most I've ever done. I'm not happy about it because I don't put a lot of time into fantasy. So, I mean, I fantasize about lots of things, but like fantasy football, for example, right? I mean, if I put in more than 15 minutes a week, that's probably a lot for me.
Well, that's 45 minutes because you're doing 3 leagues. So
no, I mean total. Like
total.
Typically,
So 5 minutes each.
So yeah, I've never had 3 before, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, it always depends on how many guys are injured and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the whole balance of fantasy football, right? You gotta build your lineup. You gotta know. Let's take a step back. How important is the team name?
I guess it's pretty important. I mean, this is the second one I've ever been in.
Yeah.
So, in the first one I shared with another guy, and I don't remember. Well, that sounded fucked up.
So was it named Uncool 3-Way?
It was Byway.
Sword Fighters
Inc. No, it was a team fantasy football. So,
all right.
So anyway, there were other teams out there.
Yeah.
It's only the second one I've been at, but I guess the name's pretty. Is the name that important? Is it just because everybody just wants to be a fucking like try to make it funny, I guess, right?
But I feel like it's important because it leads to the shit talking that's going to happen throughout the season.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So one of my favorites, obviously I couldn't do this in like a work draft.
Right.
But I like to go with the name Me Off just so I can say who's ready to beat me off. So that's definitely one of my go-tos.
No, that's good.
And then the one you and I are in because it's with people we probably can't be our full selves with.
Right,
I just went with Team Baby Maker.
Which is hysterical because I'm like, oh, that fits you to a T. I obviously went with, when you did that, that's why I went with Team Elitist.
Oh, for sure.
So, because, like, people consider me elitist, which I'm okay with.
I mean, your shit talk is even in British. I don't know how the hell you do it, but you do it.
It's the only way to make me sound smarter. It's fucking fantasy football is insane. I mean, so like I said, this is the second one I've been in. So we're getting ready to draft Wednesday night.
Yeah,
because it's Friday night. We're getting to draft Wednesday night, and I don't remember how to do it. So I'm like, I happen to type in like because I know the roster. You like a QB, you got to have you got to have running backs and 2 running. And I was looking up what the fucking leagues were and all that kind of shit. And there's a fucking ass ton of information out there.
Well, because there's with football,
right?
Fantasy football, you have PPR leagues, so you get your points per reception. Mm-hmm. You've got your traditional or whatever. So you got to figure out that makes a difference. PPR wide receivers tend to be some of the earlier picks. Excuse me. But I mean, a regular league, running backs are guaranteed. That's who you start with.
Oh, okay.
Because they're getting a lot of yards, touchdowns, whatever. So I mean, it makes a difference. So you got to learn all those things, those little nuances, and then some have different formats as far as how many wide receivers you can have, and all that kind of shit. I mean, I don't want to nerd out here, but
no, yeah, and that's what. But the question I asked you was like, so I have this bench. I'm like, I don't even know the fucking who do you put on the bench? And then you went in like, hey, it's a PPR league, so get as many. Anybody that can
horde
fucking
receivers
catch.
And running backs.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you need to do. So, but fantasy football is the one thing, that it's big now. But it's fantasy there's fantasy baseball, right? And I think we were talking earlier. I think that was first. I think fantasy baseball was
first.
Like
it may have been. I mean, I remember hearing about fantasy baseball as a kid, but I remember hearing about back in the day, right? Like all the fantasy stuff was all through Vegas. Like I remember my dad getting like these sports magazines, and there would always be like page, call, whatever, all these fake clever gambler names, call the stash, because he had big '80s mustache.
Oh yeah, okay. Right.
Call the stash. He's got all the inside on fantasy, whatever. I mean,
I remember those. It was like 29 cents a minute or something.
Yeah,
to talk to the fucking dude.
Yeah, call 976.
555.
Yeah, 555 stash.
Is that enough?
Oh,
stash?
It's too many.
It's too many.
But I mean, it would
Cash.
have all these. Yeah, they would have all these little clever whatevers. But I mean, back in the day, yeah, it was like we're degenerates.
Yeah,
it was the degenerate gamblers who did it back then.
Right.
So now everybody.
Well, with the internet and all that, I mean, it's just easy to do now. You know what I mean? It's just the ESPN league we're in, it's all fucking automated. It's just.
Oh, they made it so easy.
Yeah.
It
absolutely.
takes 5 minutes to set a league up. And the draft, we were done in an hour, maybe? Hour and 15 minutes.
We had a minute between picks. So.
Yeah. I mean, it was...
And 3 people, I think, at one point all went into auto mode.
Yeah, it was like they got their starting lineup, and they're like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, from here on.
So, yeah, I mean, it's weird. So, yeah, fantasy baseball, maybe, I don't know. Do you think it was first?
I for some reason I do. I just remember fantasy because a lot of those guys are stat nerds. I mean, it's really true.
Baseball for
with
sure.
Baseball, they're stat nerds. So this whole idea of like managing a team, I mean, just kind of plays into it.
No, you're right. I mean, stats matter so much in baseball.
Oh yeah,
the home run record, right? I mean, people literally fight over if Barry Bonds holds the record.
Because the whole
steroid stuff.
Steroid thing.
So yeah, people are. I mean, it's a reason to go for some people. Like you don't get it.
It's like settle down. Who gives a fuck?
Right, like dude, if you get a chub because we're talking about Pete Rose and 4,000 hits, you've got bigger issues.
Well, you know what? Going off on a fucking tangent here. It's if I'm not mistaken, he never bet on baseball, or did he?
So when he
had to
managed,
have.
he did. That's what the whole taboo
Oh,
thing
okay.
was.
All
that
right. Yeah.
He was betting against, allegedly, he bet against his own team when he was the manager. So the whole thought is that
he was throwing games.
he could throw a game for $100,000.
Right.
Which, hey, look, back then they weren't paid how everybody is now. So,
Yeah,
and
still
it's
paid pretty good, though.
They were paid well, but I mean,
relative to the time.
it's not even just the sliding scale. I mean, these guys are making so much money now.
It's all fucking guaranteed.
Yeah, baseball.
Yeah,
right?
baseball's like,
and
it's
the
all
salaries are higher. So I mean,
what was A-Rod? A-Rod was like $130 million.
Well, that one contract that he signed with the Rangers and then the Yankees was, I think, 10 years, $250 million.
$25 million a year,
Maybe
guaranteed.
it was $300 million even. I mean, the guy he re-upped at one point, so I don't know. I don't remember all the
what
details.
the shift was on that.
But yeah, I mean, that guy in 1 year he made 5 lifetimes worth of money. 1 year. Not to mention he was probably making tens of millions in endorsements. At the same time.
And on top of it, now he's just hammering the shit out of J-Lo.
I would.
Oh, I was looking at
She looks great.
Yeah, she's what, 40?
She might be 50.
Wow.
Late 40s or 50.
I think it was on the Chive the other night, and they had this whole, there were GIFs or GIFs or however you fucking want to pronounce it, of like asses, and they had hers walking, I think in her movie, that Hustle movie of hers.
Oh,
like,
where she's going to be the stripper.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. Pole dance or whatever.
Yeah, whatever, same thing. Who fucking pole dances doesn't take their clothes off? Is that a thing? I don't think you could.
And that the thing?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna fucking pole dance, you're gonna
right. You're gonna be naked. It's either that pole or my pole. You're gonna be swinging on one of them.
Yeah, mine's
the stump. So
exactly.
You're not exactly.
You might trip over it. Not really.
You'll stub the fuck out of your toe, though. I promise.
I promise. Yeah. All right. What were we talking about again? I got off on J-Lo's ass.
Yeah, I bet you did. So, well, I'm fantasy.
We were speaking of fantasy.
So we were talking about how salaries,
yeah.
like, again, people were the thought was P. Rose was throwing the games,
yeah,
to make more money. I mean, not the millions they are today, but in the
fuck,
80s, $100,000 was what the equivalent of $180,000 a day or $200,000 or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I'd take $100,000 a day.
Yeah. I would be literally debt free. My house would be paid off.
I'm still short, but but so you got fantasy. We have football. I got baseball. Like we said, I think baseball is that. I think on the app. Let me pull it up. I think it's there's a fantasy soccer.
Soccer. I mean, I don't know. Well, so that's got to be huge, right? Because soccer is, despite the fact that I hate soccer, it is the most watched sport in the world.
Yeah.
Because everywhere but here, it's number one by far.
Yeah, it fucking kills football, as they say.
Well, literally, people have been killed. Do you remember, in Medellin, when Colombia lost to somebody, it wasn't Pablo Escobar's brother was murdered? It was on, I remember watching a 30 for 34. Interesting as hell. But I mean, literally, guy was killed because he screwed something up.
Speaking of Escobar, did you see after the hurricane, 26 pounds or whatever cocaine washed up on the beach?
Washing up on the beach.
Yeah.
So I didn't see pictures of it. Was it still in containers?
Yeah, it was still in the wraps. It was I think they looked like it was I think they were pound wraps.
Wonder why my daughter said she was going on spring break.
That's weird. Like in the middle of a hurricane?
So school just started.
So there's fantasy soccer, there's fantasy hockey, fantasy basketball, fantasy baseball, and fantasy football.
So
that's just on the ESPN app.
But how does fantasy soccer work? Goals, I get it, but there's not in good soccer. 2-1 is like a thriller, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't see a lot of 8-2 in soccer.
I don't know. Is it like
the only
headbutts?
soccer I
is it
see
like
is,
fucking passes or
how many guys acted like they were snipered? Is that negative points? That's one of the reasons I hate soccer. I mean, if you see a guy who just brushed by him and goes flying, he breaks his neck because he jumped so far, and you're like, dude, I sneezed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but for every one of those that I've seen online, and I'm not like a huge soccer fan. I'm not totally anti soccer. There were some pretty fucking tough. There were some tough guys out there.
Well, I mean,
there has to be.
Not all of soccer is that. I'm acting like somebody shot me from the stands.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there are guys, absolutely. They're forearms kicking each other. I mean, yeah, it's right. It's like the whole NASCAR. If you're not rubbing, you're not racing kind of thing.
Yeah, then that's even a fucking bullshit thing too.
But
they don't do that anymore because it affects aerodynamics. So nobody wants to do that.
Right. Well, plus I think just the mentality of the guys are different. Those are just tough. Those old drivers, man. Those were just tough. Old dudes.
They didn't. It was just back in the day because I guess I'm still a NASCAR fan. I don't watch it as much as I used to, but they didn't have like the aerodynamic. They weren't concerned with downforce. They weren't concerned with everything else. So you could beat the fuck out of a car and it didn't matter because the drag coefficient wasn't going to be that affected. You know what I mean? Because the cars weren't aerodynamic. But now
they were boxy, right?
Yeah, they were a fucking car. I mean, you literally could drive them home. You know, I mean, there was the car on the street. The whole idea was like win on Sunday, sell on Monday. Well, that was great when you fucking had 65 Ols. It was the same fucking car you could get in the showroom. Yeah. It's a little tough to get a 800 horsepower fucking roll cage sheet metal Impala at fucking Germain Chevy.
Right.
Yeah,
would you like to drive one of these? $3.5 million.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now they spend now those guys spend fucking all winter in like the wind tunnel, and they're fucking they're massaging the shit out of to get as much speed out of it as possible. Last thing you want to do is fucking hit somebody and fuck all that up. You know what I mean? Because then it affects the car. So not on every track, but on most tracks. But
so how does fantasy NASCAR work?
I have no fucking idea. I know
they have leagues.
Yeah,
I hear people talk about it.
I think you pick a series of drivers, and it actually fantasy NASCAR might be one of the easier ones because you all have places, so there's points that go along. I mean, the whole system, the racing system itself, is points.
So if you have 10 dudes,
right,
you get 3 racers, and then you're just let's say it's 30 cars.
Yeah,
30 for first place, 1 for 30.
Yeah,
is that maybe
how it's yeah, exactly. So my guess would be you get the points. They probably use NASCAR's point system. So you get the if you
gotcha.
Now they have stages and shit. So if you get a stage when you get points. So you if your guy comes in second, he gets instead of 5 points for the stage when he gets 3. But if he finishes 23rd, he only gets 10 points. So I think I would surmise, if I can use that word, because I should have done the British accent. Surmise. That's probably
Australian. Yours was better.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
way better.
Okay. I have been to London, just so you know. Yeah, thanks, Dick.
Fucking elitist.
Yes, fuck you, prick. Oh, I went inside the country. Ooh. Yeah. You're the only one. Right. But my guess would be that
you are.
What'd you say?
In this case, you are.
Yeah. They just probably use the point.
So that's
the point system's already
one of the easier ones.
It's probably one of the easier ones to understand anyway. You know what I mean?
Are there bonus points for redneck fights after?
I don't know. I wish there was. Fucking Tony Stewart punched a fan the other day.
I didn't even know he still raced.
He didn't. He's a car owner.
He punched a fan?
Yeah, it was on TMZ Sports or something. Tony,
oh man!
And what was cool was I thought the TMZ guys were just gonna kind of shit on him, and they're like, "Hey, fuck that dude, let him punch him," because I guess he was drunk and he was mouthing off, and Tony's like, "Fuck you." That's what, and they were like, "Tony, what did they say?" It was like the TMZ guy. The one TMZ dude was like, "He's a fucking baller, man." They love Tony Stewart. He's like, he doesn't take any shit from anybody.
No, he doesn't. I respect it.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of have to, right? I've seen him throw his helmet during a race, and I think he purposely wrecked a couple guys after the race was over, drove into him. Fuck you guys. But he did kill that guy. But
I mean, so there's that.
But that was, to be honest with you, I watched that video a couple of times. That fucking guy was nobody deserves to die, but it wasn't all Tony's fault.
Look, the guy was making. I don't want to disrespect the dead. The guy was making an ass of himself in that moment.
Exactly. And again, nobody deserves to die. He didn't. That shouldn't have happened. But anyway, wow, what a fucking downer.
Yeah, but no,
it was
right.
funny though. But he did kill the guy. So
If the
There
guy
was that one guy.
it would have been much funnier if he would have only been like disabled for the rest of his life.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, yeah, you're running around and he was hitting on cars and shit, wasn't he? Like,
Well, he got wrecked, and it's pitch black out because those dirt cars run at like 10 o'clock at night. So
Yeah.
and you got dirt flying. The visibility is shit. I've been to a couple of races. My dad's was a big dirt race for car fan, so we go and it's cloudy, it's misty, it's you really can't see. And from what I saw from the tape, he kind of walked down to go say something. He
That's
kind of
right.
walked into
That's
the track. Now, whether he saw him or didn't see him, I don't know. And the car kind of
we'll never know that.
We'll never know. We'll never know that. But they went through. They did a full investigation, and he wasn't. They didn't find him guilty of whatever.
But I mean, it was like you hear the stories even on the news where a guy road rage, right?
Yeah.
A guy got out of the car and he's like stomping over to go fight a guy. Well, there's somebody doing 80 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, whatever, and they're like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
and they end up smashing the guy.
Yeah.
And so I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. So anyway, but yeah,
Right.
he fucking punched. I guess he punched a fan or something like that. I don't know. But from what I gather, I guess the fan was pretty fucked up too. So he's probably mouthing off
At a race, shocker.
Yeah, I know. Beer at a race? Come on. Guy probably been drinking since fucking
Drunk hillbillies at a NASCAR race.
I think he may have been drinking from about 9 in the morning because this fucking race was pitched.
Right, they're
yeah.
all day, aren't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah. No, they're not all day, but
But they're
you
like
get
4-hour races. Well, you're there all day.
you're there all day, right? And if you go to like a big one and you get like a camper, I mean, you're drinking all. I mean, they do the practices for like an hour. There's nothing. No other shit's going on.
Because they're right. These are a quarter mile long or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I mean, there were hundreds of thousands of fans there
Well, in certain
because
tracks,
of the
yeah.
length. You know what I mean? Like I've never been to a NASCAR race, but like
Neither have I.
driven by Daytona. Like I know my father-in-law's gone to some. I got buddies that go to them. And again, because the track is a quarter mile long, right? You're gonna fit a shitload of people there, or a half mile, right? Some of them are whatever it is. But
When they do the Bristol race in Tennessee, it becomes like the largest city in Tennessee or some fucking thing like that.
I'd believe it.
Or something like that.
I
There's
would.
there's 100,000 plus fans at that Bristol race, and that's a quarter mile track. There's like three races like I won't miss. Talladega, Daytona, and Bristol. Those are and maybe a road race here and there, so maybe 5 tops. But those are the
big dogs,
those are
right?
They're not the big dogs. They're just more.
No, but like Daytona's supposed to be like the World Series or the
The
Super Bowl, right?
And Talladega is just fucking speed. And nobody can convince me that people don't watch NASCAR because of their fucking wrecks.
Oh, a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's and some of the driving's cool, but when you get to like a Bristol, because it's literally 15 seconds for them to get around the track.
Oh, okay. So that's speed.
That's
right?
yeah. They're just and they call it the Coliseum of racing, but the banking is all the way. It doesn't flatten out.
So it's constantly at an angle.
You're constantly at an angle, and you're on the gas, off the gas, on the because you jam it when you leave the corner, and then when you got a lift going into the next one, it's like so it's a rhythm. So you got to kind of get into a rhythm, but you end up if you're super fast and the guys in the back of the field aren't, within like 5 laps you're lapping cars. So now you got this big fucking jumble of cars, people racing for spots, people racing for the lead. And all fucking hell breaks loose because the guys in the back aren't as good as obviously the guys in the front.
And at this point, they're just being assholes, right? Because they're still trying to do stuff, but like now they're just getting in the way, right?
I don't think they're purposely getting in the way, but they're just in the way.
Well, they're trying to race.
Yeah, they're trying to race.
They're not.
Two guys are
they're
racing.
not blocking,
Right,
but-
the 2 guys are racing for a spot, and the leader's coming through, and they're still racing for a position. And the leader comes through, and he gets fucking wrecked, and he's all pissed off, and it's like. You would do the same fucking thing.
Well, that guy, if he goes 3 spots ahead, it's the difference between $50,000 and $100,000.
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, or whatever. Right? Every position is $1.
Yeah.
So now that we're way the fuck off tangent from fantasy, we got way off tangent. But my wife will be like, "See, I told you were going to talk about NASCAR."
Pretty sure this is the first episode we have.
No, we've talked about it before.
Have we? All right.
I think we have.
I don't know enough about it, so.
Yeah, I know enough to be dangerous and enough to where I'm annoyed with it. So,
So to get us back, so
Yeah.
so maybe NASCAR's a little easier fantasy, but now like they're even doing college football fantasy.
so you told me that tonight. I can't believe that.
Like I've gotten emails, and I'm like, no. I mean, first of all, because you can pick your home team, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm Ohio State. I'm going to pick the Ohio State running back who. Ohio State always has a good running back, so you're going to do well. But I feel like, how do they do it? Like, so like fantasy back in the day, with baseball and football, you had like X amount of money to spend. I don't know if you remember those.
Yeah,
days.
I remember.
So
that.
you would have like $100,000, and if you wanted this quarterback, he's 25. So you can't just pick.
You can't get a college quarterback for $25,000 today.
Right. Wasn't that in the movie Basketball? Shaq made all his money in college. So like all the college athletes, that's where they're getting rich.
Yeah, I was trying to think of that 30 for 30 about SMU.
Yeah. Oh, that was awful. Like just literally that was, but the players were so brash. Like, what are you gonna say something? Because I didn't go to your school, and you're still gonna penalize your school.
Dickerson and who was the other dude? Like he was from I think it was Craig James. Yeah, Craig James. And I love the one dude. He's like, I forgot. He was one of even the boosters were on there, and they were like, "Fuck you guys." What do you? I mean,
oh, they're laughing. He's like, "What else was I gonna do with $50,000?" And you're like, man.
I love the one where they gave Dickerson the car. The other team gave him a fucking boatload of money, and he guaranteed. I forgot the other school. It might have been Texas.
Oh, definitely, because I think he was from Texas.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, SMU's in Texas.
Yeah.
So it was like SMU gave him the Trans Am or whatever, and then Texas gave him the cash. And he's like, I'm going to Texas, and they're like, yes. And then he fucking went to SMU, and I think it was one of the boosters was like, what is he gonna do? Tell him like, what are they gonna do? Go to the NCAA? And like,
right.
They took their bribe, not our bribe. Nobody's saying shit.
Right.
So it's like, just eat a dick. So now he's got $50,000 and a new fucking Trans Am.
And he was pretty, he's, what's the word I'm looking for? Callous about it. I mean, Dickerson's pretty callous about it. Like, I was the best player in high school. What else were they gonna do? There's a lot they could have done. I don't think they needed to do that, but I mean, hey,
okay,
hey, dude, you got it.
If that's the environment we're in today, then that's what it is.
Right? Isn't that what people say? Right? You're worth what people are willing to pay you or whatever.
Right.
So okay, yeah, whatever. But yeah, how do you do? So
yeah, how do you do college? How would you do a college fantasy?
So like the point system would be the same as fantasy football, NFL.
Yeah,
so the point system's the same.
Right.
But I mean, who the hell watches so much college football that you could pick a full roster?
Oh, that's a good point.
Or do you just go with the GERT and accounting thing? Like you just play the numbers? Like they always win the NCAA tournament because they have no emotion in the brackets. Yeah, like they're not like an Ohio State fan, so even though Ohio State sucks, they still pick them to win 3 games. They're like, no, based on this, and this,
I like the color of jersey.
Right. They pick the weirdest things, and that's why they always, even if they don't win, they win money.
Right. No, yeah, they win something. That's a good point. I mean, how would that fucking work? I mean, because you got different levels of college football. I mean, you've got was it all Division I? They leave you at like you can only pick the what is it, FBS, or what is the bowl championship series? What's FBS?
I don't even. One's FCS, one's FBS.
Okay, so one's
football. FBS thing is the football bowl series, and then FCS is football championship series.
So who's in the bowl series?
That's like the main, the Power 5, the Ohio States, Alabama, Texas, Syracuse.
This is the hey man,
still ranked.
Came out first time they were ranked since 2008 or something like that.
Digging it.
Yeah, I like DeVito. I think he's got a good arm on him. He's just got to learn it.
He needs experience.
Yeah, he just needs experience. The only thing I didn't like about Dungy's a good quarterback, but I felt like he ran way more than he should have.
He did, and he got hurt a lot because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tough kid, though. Don't get me wrong.
No, he's going to go down as, at the moment, he's a top 5 Syracuse quarterback of all time.
Yeah. Well, this is based on the numbers.
I mean, he's I wouldn't put him in there with McNabb and McPherson.
Right.
But Marvin Graves probably even. But still.
Marvin Graves. Remember that name.
That dude could throw 90 yards, man. Hey, remember, I coached there.
That's right. Yeah, that's right, you did. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how you'd fucking pick that. I mean, they might have to limit it to like out of the.
If you just did the FCS, that's still like 112 schools.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, you'd really have to be a degenerate to be good at it.
Is FBS above SCS?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
okay. It's the Power 5. The Power 5.
Yeah,
league,
that's the big money.
SEC, ACC.
Yeah.
Big 10. Okay.
And then FCS is like your smaller Division I. It used to be 1AA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like Dayton, Youngstown State,
Colgate.
Or maybe
no, they're like the Patriot League or something.
Yeah, I don't know what the
I don't know what Colgate is.
Yeah, I don't know if they were
Hey,
considered.
shout out to Colgate. All the people up in Hamilton, New York.
Great toothpaste.
It's a great school, though.
It's an amazing school.
Yeah, Colgate's a really good
Oh,
school.
I was not getting into Colgate.
Did you try?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, so I applied to a bunch of schools, Fragmental here.
Yeah.
But once I was still applying when I started getting acceptances. So once I got accepted to Miami, Florida, Syracuse, and Tulane, I'm like, I'm done. Like I got my top 3. Why the hell am I still looking? Mm-hmm. There were a couple I wish I would have done. Like my grandpa, he always had some kind of allegiance to Colby College. I wish I would have applied. That just would have been a really cool thing.
Yeah.
But
hey, Grandpa, I got in, but I'm fucking going to Syracuse.
Still going to Syracuse.
Yeah, but that's cool.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Yeah. So now you guys know.
There you go.
Even though Miami
the more
is
you know.
The prettiest campus.
Miami.
Florida.
Oh,
it was incredible.
You got into Miami?
Hmm?
Would you have been a Catholic versus convict?
No, that was before my time.
Oh, okay.
Mine was late 90s.
Okay, yeah. All right.
2000.
Okay.
So, I mean, I would have been there for a national championship year. It was pretty good times there.
Yeah.
But I was not there. Instead, I went to Syracuse where they beat our ass in the Big East.
Yeah, they came in late to the Big East though, didn't they? They were added.
They were added, but then they left for the ACC.
Ah, okay.
So okay. So yeah, college football, like I feel like you got to be a really big degenerate to be good at college football.
I just think how do you fucking stay on top of all of that?
That's what I'm saying. Like who knows like, oh, but you haven't seen this guy from
Alabama fucking East Bejesus State.
Right. Like this guy's running for 185 yards a game, 3 touchdowns. Like
yeah.
Again, even if the scoring's the same, how the hell do you keep track?
I have no idea.
All right, so, but you know what? So we're talking about all these fantasy sports, dude. Fantasy has gotten so big, it's moving into life. Like Bachelor, people have fantasy drafts and leagues for the friggin' Bachelor.
Yeah, I don't know. We were talking about this earlier. Like as we were prepping for the show. Like, who has time to watch that much fucking TV?
I don't know. But they do. But you know what?
You do.
The people who have a fantasy draft for The Bachelor probably aren't watching sports.
True.
So, I mean, right, we may dedicate 3 to, I know people who will watch football all Saturday and Sunday. I'm not one of them.
No.
I love football, but it's, I love my kids more than I love football. So, when you're not dedicating that 3 to 12 hours to sports, I guess that's 12 shows you just watched.
Yeah, I mean the Bachelor's on what, once a week, once a night. I don't even know how it works.
I think it is. I don't really know.
You know what? I'm kind of a big fan of Love Island UK.
You're
going there?
Yeah.
I'm like, I wonder because that's 50 shows. It's 8 weeks.
Okay, so let's think about this. You watched it.
Yeah.
How do you score it? Like,
that's a good.
How do you build out your lineup?
That's a good point because you start off with 12. Well, they're couples, so you start off with 6. God, I don't know how you'd I mean, you have to have you'd have to have multiple people though.
Right? Are there like points for good looking? Is there like points for muscular? Like
maybe there's
like
argument points. I don't know who the fuck. I mean,
like,
they get.
Is that rack real or fake? Is
well,
there stuff
you know
like
what?
that?
They keep bringing in people. I mean, the idea is to kind of. My wife calls it a psychological experiment because these people couple up, then they introduce new data or new influencers or whatever, and it fucks the relationships up. So maybe it's like that you pick like they're going to bring these 3 guys in or these 3 girls in.
So are you saying like the one who's going to mess this up is like
it's like 3
tall, dark hair guy. Like, is that how? And let me ask you real quick: are they like legitimate couples when they start? Like,
no.
This guy. This couple have been together for 3 months.
No. So I can't believe I'm fucking saying this. So they bring in.
Oh, I can't either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I fucking put myself in this corner. Goddamn alcohol will do it to you every time.
Don't fuck your way out, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. They bring in 6 women and they bring in 6 guys, and you pick a guy to quote couple up with. And you kind of get to know them. But what the weird thing is like you have to share a bed. I mean, it's like one. Like you just met this guy.
So they're like really making it like, oh, there's going to be some fucking
drama.
Yeah. There's going to be some Pound Town going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, there's no way
That's why I love the UK version because they don't edit half that shit out. I mean, it's not graphic,
Well, right.
but it's like
I don't
you can
picture
see
you just see like
yeah,
like,
this guy
man,
got it.
that
Like,
guy's really railing her. Look at this.
yeah, her legs aren't pinned behind her ears, but
not flexible enough. Noted.
Yeah, exactly. That's minus 2 points. No, they kind of show the motion and the action, and the sheets are moving and stuff like that. But they're definitely going to town. But then they bring in like new people, and it's just this whole kind of.
Oh, it's a mind fuck for
sure.
It's
absolutely a mind fuck. So there could be points in that, but you got the Bachelor.
Dude, the friggin' Oscars. Like, first, people, right, for years have dressed up and, like, there's tuxes and dresses and all this. But, like, now, not only are they doing that, there's a fantasy draft, like, for the Oscars or the Grammys or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it, though. It's like you could get, if you just put in who you think is going to win, and you get points on those, and that guy at the end of the whatever wins the.
But, like, are there tiers? Like, you know what I mean? Or is it just full on, just like a snake draft, right? Where, where you get the first pick, 10 people draft, the 10th guy gets also the first pick of the second, and it goes back. So, like, you could be like,
that's
you know what?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But then is an actor worth more than
an actress? Usually that's how Hollywood works.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think we enjoy the actresses better, right? Maybe not. I guess maybe not. A good actor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They make 70% less, from what I understand.
That's bullshit.
I'm joking. Actually,
you're
they
not.
probably don't.
I'm pretty sure it's all over fucking social media.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I don't. That's interesting. How would you draft the Oscars?
Because like, how do you like Quentin Tarantino? Right.
Right.
So an actor, it seems like anytime he wins a movie or does a movie, he's winning shit. Whether it's movie of the year or not, he wins something.
Yeah.
So right, he's full of critical acclaim. How do you know, like, is best actor or actor of the year? I clearly watched the Oscars.
Yeah.
Is that worth more than
best director,
best picture, or you know what I mean? Like,
you know what? I would probably. I mean, if we're gonna, what's the word I'm looking for? In my head, I know the word I'm looking for. The bookies do it when they
handicap.
Handicap. Thank you. If we're gonna handicap this, I would think they would all be because there's like 5 people per. There's 5 people per category.
I think I figured out how you could do the weighting, though, right? Like, the ones that go first are, like, deemed less important. The biggest one of the night's the last one, right?
Yeah.
So is there more points so you can weight it that way?
So what's the best picture of the year? I think it's best picture. I think is the last one, right?
So would you? Yeah. So
that would be the heaviest one. I mean, that would be the heaviest one. And then you just you draft like what you think it's going to be.
Man, like, are people fighting over like best score and all that? Like the music, like, man, no, John Williams, you know it.
Yeah, he's gonna. It's a new Star Wars movie. He's gonna win that. The best editing.
She's got the makeup thing cornered.
Yeah,
like.
Did you see the what is it? What do they call it? Best costume or best Did you see what she did to Cher? It's unbelievable. She's asked to be. It's 38 points right there. But it's kind of funny because we've moved from like football and baseball and NASCAR. We've moved from that into like life. So now you're doing The Bachelor. Potentially, I'm looking at maybe setting up a Love Island fantasy.
The Oscars.
So what's next? I mean, we're kind of moving. What else could we apply fantasy to?
Could you do it like in your? So we had the drafting episode.
Yeah, we had a drafting.
Do you do it? So to link to that, like, could you do it in the workplace?
Yeah, that's.
And then how? Yeah. But how do
you handicap that?
It goes back to the scoring.
Yeah, it goes back to the scoring. The drafting piece of it's easy, right? I mean, you can kind of like figure out how to do the drafting. It's the scoring that I think makes it difficult.
Which affects the drafting if you're doing a fantasy, because if you're just like fantasy football, you might. In real football, you might want the running back who just gets 1,400 yards, but he's consistently 90 yards a game. He gets you those tough first downs.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean shit in fantasy football.
Yeah, because you want the guy that's
want the guy who's scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, but he might go 1, 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, and then bust a fucking 70 yards.
So here's an example in football, like Julian Edelman. Last couple of years have been a little different, but for a couple of years he was like. He was a great PPR fantasy guy because the guy was catching 10 passes for 80 yards. So you got 8 points for that, but you got 10 points for his per reception. And if he got you the rare touchdown, the dude just got you 25 points.
Right.
So like, so sometimes
how do you do Mary in
possession,
accounting? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. Like, exactly. So, like, maybe she's not getting you those big touchdowns, but, if she's not paying those damn bills on time, you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you got to, it's still
and
important.
the points are based on, like, how early she pays that bill.
Yeah.
Like, if she's 60 days early, it's like 10 points. The later it gets towards the due date, she loses points.
Right. Are we getting our cash discount? Oh, son of a bitch. Like, do you think of that as like the sales VP, like the key? Like, is that your Saquon Barkley? Is that is that your?
It's all based on the numbers are based on revenue. How much revenue you're driving?
So,
it's an accounting. It's an accounting fantasy draft.
So I mean, hey, look, as a Jewish man talking about all this accounting, I'm hard as fuck.
Well, you stay on that side of the desk.
Yeah, I mean, again, the point system I think becomes pretty interesting. Man.
Yeah, exactly. It's like or could you do like a fantasy company thing, like revenue, expenses, like?
Dude, this is.
I'm taking Apple in the first round. Their margins are amazing.
Look at the valuation here. Right. Dude, this. Yeah. Being a Jewish man, I feel like these leagues exist.
They may. You got to get to like fucking somewhere in Brooklyn, but
like I feel like my rabbi, like I always thought he was just saying things to be funny, but maybe when he says like, by the way, give me 10 on Apple, like maybe I didn't realize that was a real thing. I just thought he meant 10 shares.
I'm going with GE because they're a consistent player, profits every quarter.
Right, Georgia Pacific delivers a great dividend.
I'm going with Georgia Pacific because the housing market is up.
Right.
Now because you could pull in like that's actually interesting because you could pull in like industry stats like steel is some China's building a bunch of stuff, so you got to build some steel. So I'm going with U.S. Steel in the third round.
You know what? I think we might be onto something.
We might be onto something
because the only people who would understand it are probably rich business guys.
Yeah.
So they're probably willing to do the $10,000 buy-in.
Exactly.
And we're like, look, this is a lot of work for us. We're going to need a 10% fee.
Yeah.
And they're probably like, oh yeah, who gives a crap?
I just shit 10%
right.
10 minutes ago.
I think we're on to something.
I think we're on. That'd be fucking great. Like you could pick industries, and it's all about like your valuation or your debt to equity ratios or shit. Like,
right. But what's the credit rating are we talking here?
Yeah, exactly. Dude, he's just fucking C-rated. I don't know. But have you seen their fucking margins? Their margins are amazing.
They made some bad decisions, but you can't argue with this.
Exactly. Dude, their ASP is like fucking 400.
They've beat 13 quarters in a row.
Exactly. This shit has to continue.
Oh, man. Dude, I think we're on to something.
I do. I think we're on to something, too. If anybody out there listening, I think we're up to 13 or 15. All 15 of you. If you know somebody that's rich and owns a business, have them give us a call.
Let's do this thing.
Yeah, let's do this thing. That would be awesome.
The
Fortune 500 fantasy.
Right.
Fantasy fortune.
Everybody's got their like clear green or red visor.
Yeah, exactly. You got to rename. The teams are named like Hyman and
without a doubt, they're gonna be like
Laheim.
So we've got Goldman, Schwartzman, Schneidman,
Schottenstein,
and there's got to be a random like Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Throw the Kumal.
For sure. Those guys got money.
Oh, they got a ton of money.
Shitload of money.
Yeah, they got. It's weird. I mean, India's weird. It's just completely.
They're going to try to negotiate away our 10%, though, man.
Oh yeah, exactly. This is going to be a screaming match too. The fucking. Oh my god! I told you the story about when we were in India and my wife was like fucking 4 pairs of shoes and all she had on her was the US 20 and she's like 4 shoes $20 US and the guy was shaking his head. And she's like fucking yelling at the dude. And I'm like, it's $20. And I shit you not. She said to me, well, he can hang on to it. And when the dollar appreciates, he can make some money on it. And I'm like, that's some cold-hearted shit right there.
That is so badass.
Yeah.
Though.
She's like,
fuck the hell out of her that night, didn't you?
I don't remember.
Or she may have fucked the hell out of you at that point.
No, I don't think we were staying with some relatives, so probably not. So
hey, pillows over the head work, Dave.
yeah, from what I understand, if you listen to our first episode.
Speaking of pillows over the head, I think I got another one where you could do a fantasy draft.
All right, shoot.
Porn.
Oh yes.
Like I think we could play on this a little bit.
Okay.
Because I mean, you gotta the point system is tough. I mean, do you get points for dick size? Is there points for if she squirts? Is that like a bonus point? Like how does that work?
That would be bonus points. That's not a natural. Sometimes that's not a natural phenomenon. And then think natural versus real.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, natural versus fake. Natural is real.
Somehow I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, oddly enough, you did. I'm almost done with my cocktail, so that probably
we were tracking the same spot. No, that's
weirdly enough.
So you're right. Are you scoring like the amount of bounce to the titty? So like look at that.
That's a little
bouncing, but there's no ripple effect. That's a fake titty.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I'm just. How do you score it again? It's
tough.
Do
you do it by movie though? It's like, is she in like 4 scenes? Is it girl to girl? Is it? I mean, girl goes. But you know what? We should do it by how they get paid. Because they get like paid for like a guy and girl is X amount.
But what if somebody's independent on Pornhub, Dave? They're not making per film, but they're making it on Pornhub from advertising and the amount of views.
Yeah, no. I'm saying you use the point system the way that they pay porn stars.
Oh, I got you.
So if you're an amateur and you got your, oddly enough, you knew that there were you knew Pornhub had like amateurs on there and they're doing their own thing.
So yeah. I've heard
some of what you've heard. Well, I think it's like, and from what I understand, it's like X number of dollars for a guy and girl. It's X number of dollars for like a double team. It's X number of dollars for a girl on girl, and then gangbangs or whatever. But there's like they pay them differently for each kind of scene.
So just to confirm, double teams the not cool threesome.
Yes,
or
double
does
team would be
that's when I hear double team, I hear 2 dudes, 1 chick. When I hear threesome, it's usually the other way around.
Yeah, it's the other way around. Yeah, so double. Yeah. Well, how could you double team with a guy and a girl?
Well, I mean, technically, 2 girls could double team the guy. I mean, they're both like, hey,
yeah, but that's not.
I mean, it's different. There's not.
The porn's weighted to the women.
I've heard that means a lot of double penetration. I don't know, but yeah,
from what I hear, from what I understand,
yeah. Well, it should be geared to the women. That's who you're watching. That's who people.
So, totally
people who watch it. That's who they're watching.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Even the women are watching the women. So
right,
for the most part.
I don't want to watch dude's face when
I don't either.
I don't give a fuck.
So you could do it that way, but then you'd have to draft like, how do you draft porn stars? Because you'd have to fill out a roster. You'd have to have X number of women. You have to have X number of guys, right?
Yeah. But then like. The transvestite porn, like where does that fit in? Is that like the flex?
That's your flex.
That's your flex in
football. That's your flex in football.
All right.
So
we're starting to put this together. So
we're gonna get insanely famous here and rich because we're gonna have the porn fantasy and we're gonna have the business one. The business will actually probably pay for the porn one. Because
I'm gonna tweet that part out tonight and see if anybody bites onto it. The porn one.
I'll definitely retweet it.
I'll say it's right now. Number 1 pick, I've heard this is her name, Kimmy Granger.
I don't know who that is.
She can ride a dick. She looks like she's in fast forward at regular speed. It's incredible.
See, I've
heard.
Yeah. from what people have told me on the video they sent me. That's crazy. That would be great though, wouldn't it? Just a fucking like a porn draft.
I think it'd be awesome.
And it would be a snake draft.
But like the shit talking would be great because like, you know, the guy over here like is a little more the veteran. So he's like, for the number 4 pick, I'm going Jenna Jameson. Everybody's like, gee, dude, are you kidding me? She's 1, not even in porn anymore. 2, she doesn't even look this. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is not 2005.
Yeah, it's like I'm going for Lisa Ann. She retired a while ago.
Yeah, but then like Mandingo, like is he got to be a top pick because he fills the roster?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he fills a lot of things.
I mean, right? I mean, you've got the length. It's the girth of a Foster's beer can.
It's funny because then there's points probably for interracial. So you got you know what I mean. So
yeah,
You get that. So you have to fill. You have to be an equal opportunity. You got to fill that draft.
Are there bonus points if it's bigger than 10 inches. I mean, he's getting the bonus points.
Yeah,
Jesus
well, yeah.
Christ.
I mean, well,
I've heard.
You. All right, we gotta stop saying we've heard because obviously we know. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a good point. So is it, every inch is a point?
I mean,
every cup size is like a point, but there's double points if you're natural versus fake because you kind of paid your way into that one.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, what if you were already established? Because there's some who start when, right, because they're not happy with their B cup.
Yeah,
we are. We're like,
yeah.
It looks great. But then she's like, no, I'm going D. In more way than one.
Yeah,
but
I'm getting some D's and I'm getting the D.
So I mean, I don't know. I think we got to put some work into that one.
Yeah, we got. Let's brainstorm on that one.
I think that would be a hilarious draft.
Fantasy porn.
Because also, who watches enough porn to fill out a full porn roster? Like,
no comment.
Because that's the other, is there bonus points? Like, look, I can't make it past the first 5 minutes. Clearly.
I have 2 people on my roster. I'm out.
You're like, wait a minute. Are you sure that person's in that movie? Because I've never seen him. That means the person in the first scene probably is getting bonus points, right? Is that the equivalent of like a 3-touchdown game?
See, but how do you pick the films? How would you pick?
You got to pick. So,
you know what?
Tough, right?
I here's what you do is you have your roster, right? And then
these have to be the people in a set of 12 films, and those are your games, or your right. Like
I would say you do like you have your roster, right? And then you do matchups. So you find movies with the both of them in there, or that's
what
like
I'm
random,
saying.
like a random movie.
That's what I'm saying. You're picking, right? Because when you pick a football quarterback, right, Tom Brady,
right,
he's only in one game. There's still 16 games happening every week,
right?
So that's what I'm saying. Like, there would be, not every movie has Mandingo in it, but there's going to be some Mandingo movies or movie, and then you're going to score it based on, right,
what happens in that movie.
Could she walk after? If not, 4 touchdowns.
10.
If she can walk,
10 plus.
She gets bonus points.
Exactly. Yeah, but that person who can walk has to be on your roster, though.
Oh, for sure. Well, so if it's not, right, you didn't get the bonus points from Mandingo,
but whoever else
has,
did,
yeah.
But is it
Dillian Harper? Yeah, I mean, you just get the bonus points because she's still walking, even though she's like 5'1".
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know
how that works. Do you have any insides? Probably not.
Right. Like, did you have to have shit removed?
Most guys remove a rib. She's like, her whole intestines are like on her back now. Right.
My butt got bigger. We just moved everything back there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's weird. I was gonna say I lost my train of thought about because you'd have to wouldn't you have to go up against somebody, or is it just you just gather points and whoever has the highest points?
But that's fantasy football. I mean, I guess you and I are going against each other. We just have these people, and whoever has the most points wins between us. So it's not like it's very possible for you and I to be going against each other, but our teams are not playing each other at all.
That's true. Because
so we could do it
it's
that
a
way.
point. Yeah, you could do it that way.
Yeah, it's just
you could just randomly draw people to go together, and then we are spending a lot of time hashing this out on this episode.
Well, look, part of it is because we may have just found 2 great business opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 3 of our listeners like to talk about porn and sex and other stuff
and whatnot,
and so forth.
And hence thereto hither. No, that's a great idea. Both of those are great ideas.
Are there different positions that have different points? Like,
yeah, oh, absolutely.
Like if you're in the Amazon position, that means the girl's taking control. She's the one doing the pumping.
Yeah.
Like, she's now in a dominant position. Is that bonus points?
I would say the higher the points, the higher the complexity of what you're doing.
The degree of difficulty.
The degree of difficulty. Almost like a gymnastics piece.
Like,
of that.
the guy held her up for 15 minutes. Whilst
pumping. like when he's got like her legs across his elbows and he's standing.
He held her up for 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You're like, first of all, that guy just held 100 pounds up with his dick.
Yeah. Well, his arms are there too. It's not time to leave.
He's not driving the heavy lifting.
He's not driving a fucking boat. All right.
Right. Are there bonus points for honking a horn?
Yeah. He only honked the horn with his shit, so I didn't see. Well, from what I heard, I don't think he drove the boat. Yeah, I mean there'd be points for degree of difficulty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like upside down, and got this fucking crazy stuff. But then, is it straight porn? What about bondage? What about? I mean, there's yeah.
I mean, that's where you got to figure it out. Like, are those wild cards? I mean, but that's all part of the draft. So if you're drafting people who are bondage, whatever, then you got to have a bondage movie in there.
So what? But how do you pick the movie? I mean, this is fucking.
Well,
great.
whoever's running the league does, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't friggin' know.
But I just feel like we have a lot of questions, Mike.
I mean,
I need to know how this works.
Look, we know more than we probably should, but we don't
know
know enough to
right.
to run this league yet.
Yeah, people are like, when people listen to this, they're gonna be like, "This is getting kind of creepy."
You know who we need to call in?
Who?
My college roommate.
Oh yeah, with his box or his crate,
Right.
his second crate.
See, he's the old school guy. He's like, so
I'm going with Amber Lynn.
Like, is Kobe Ty or whatever, Toby Kai, whatever, was she like?
She was hot.
Oh, she was gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, that's what.
Asia Akira. There's a good one. Asia Akira.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean,
who's the Mensa one? I'm thinking. I'm on Asian. Back to no. It's a different one. Asia Akira is a different one.
Asia Carrera.
Asia Carrera was the Mensa one.
Yeah.
Now we're back to Jason's Asian fetish comment.
Yeah, but so like I thought she was hot not because she was Asian, but because she's doing all this and she's a Mensa member.
Yeah, she's fucking
like she
hot.
is.
Come on,
I mean, no, she was.
Come on, she's
very hot, but she wasn't hot because she was Asian. She was hot because she was hot.
Well, I get that, but it's not because she's a fucking Mensa person.
But
she was in her tits were great. She was in fucking fantastic
bonus,
shape,
though.
Oh, I'm not saying it's
not.
Because
part of what makes part of what makes your draft is the fantasy of it.
hence,
you're like fantasy draft, but also like isn't that what makes it so great? Is you're like, man, like this, man would love to be with whatever. I mean, that's why I said Kimmy Granger would be number one. I couldn't imagine the 35 seconds I'm lasting watching her like that. I mean, right in my mind.
That's another thing too. Like there's points for. Well, you know what? They cut that shit, so it's longer than it.
Yeah, right.
You can't really go by
right.
that.
In reality, he slammed for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You saw 5 minutes of it.
Right. No, it's vice versa. He slammed for 5 minutes and they made it an hour and a half because they cut it.
Oh yeah,
they cut it longer
because different position,
angles, all that kind of shit. So it's longer than what it actually.
Hey, we've all used that at some point. Like, oh man, I'm about to.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Let's try this.
Exactly. You get in the position. I'm gonna run downstairs and get some Gatorade.
I don't do that mid. That's usually like when it's like, man, I got to go for round
Pedialyte.
3.
What's the thing with Pedialyte now? With what's his name? One of the NFL guys is gonna like promote. Pedialyte's doing some type of energy drink or some type of sports drink. Yeah.
Well, because I mean the hydration, but I think there's also health benefits to it allegedly.
How did we get from fucking porn to Pedialyte?
That's fucked up.
Gatorade.
Baby,
it's the Gatorade.
It was the hydration.
Hydration.
We've all been there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's also why dudes own dildos too. Because I'm for goddamn sure not using it. But while I'm charging up for round 3, you're more than willing to. Yeah. You're more than welcome to keep. Which this could be another episode.
Exactly. I think it is another episode. We just gotta
find the right people.
Yeah, we gotta find the right people and put it together the right way. So
this was good, man.
Yeah,
I think we found 2 legit business ideas.
I think we did too. So we're gonna wrap this up. I think we haven't exhausted the fantasy porn thing. I think we've just put enough down on paper to spend a little bit more time trying to figure out how to.
Yeah, we've got
work.
things to figure out.
Yeah, we got things to figure out.
We don't watch enough.
Yeah.
We need to bring somebody who's an expert.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will. We're gonna tweet out. Mike's gonna tweet out You have a comment to tweet out, so this is gonna be awesome. And we will catch you. I think we're kind of back on schedule now.
I think we're getting back on schedule.
Yeah. So, well, hey, this has been a great conversation. So thanks, Mike.
No, thanks, Dave. Talk soon.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So remember, we're out on fragmental.co. We're on Twitter. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify, and we are on Google Play and Google Podcasts because apparently that's a new one.
Yep. Listen, comment.
Yep. Absolutely.
We want
comment.
your feedback.
We want your feedback. So send us a tweet at Fragmental Co.
At Fragmental Co.
So thanks, guys.